How are you?
Good evening. Thanks to all of you for coming. I am honored by your presence, and the school is honored by your presence, and I appreciate your time tonight, and I hope we can make it worth your while. Let me recognize a few distinguished guests who have honored us with their presence tonight. I want to recognize Regents Mark DeBrava and James Dean Levitt. Thank you. Chancellor Dan Klaich and Vice Chancellor for Health Sciences Marcia Turner. I'll just comment briefly that Chancellor Klaich imposed upon his wife to attend as well, and her reward for putting up with this is dinner, as I understand it. So, thank you very much for coming. Also want to recognize the UNLV Planning Dean for the new School of Medicine, Barbara Atkinson. The Chief Executive Officer of University Medical Center, Larry Barnard. And also want to welcome the Executive Director of the Clark County Medical Society, Loretta Moses, and the President of the CCMS, Mike Edwards. I was on the same plane with the governor coming down this morning. I thought maybe he was coming tonight, but apparently not. National Public Radio had a little piece several months ago, earlier this summer, and they asked people to describe their job in 5 words. I don't know why 5. And I was challenged by that, and so I took that on. And my 5-word phrase is improving Nevada's health and healthcare. I think that's my job. I think that's the school's job. I think that's your job. And that's going to be the theme of what I'm going to talk about tonight. So that's what I want to focus on, and that's going to define everything that I say, some of the controversies that I get into. I think what we're about is statewide service to improve health and healthcare. Public higher education institutions do that in a variety of ways, and in fact, the School of Medicine has done that in different ways over time. It started as a Northern Nevada school, served Northern Nevada, primary care oriented, rural outreach. It was relatively well constituted within its community, had reasonable hospital relationships, had community physician relationships. And then what I might call, if I were Irish, the troubles began over the past 15 years roughly, in which the school entered into a phase in which it had 2 half campuses, had a statewide vision, but very unsatisfying and very unsatisfactory arrangement. It was unsatisfying to students, it was unsatisfactory to faculty and staff. It served no community well, it was distracting to its work, its rural missions, and it was not serving the state, even remotely as well as it should have. And that came about for a variety of political and economic reasons that I think we're past at this point. More recently, a statewide public medical education advisory group has come together with, under the leadership of the Chancellor, with UNLV, UNR, UNSOM being represented. And the major product of that group has been a memorandum of understanding and some amendments that have brought us to the point that we are tonight. I talked initially about an interim structure with a single school and 2 full 4-year campuses, and moved quickly past that to talking about 2 schools of medicine. So the question I think tonight and for the coming time will be, what does that mean? So I want to answer 3 questions tonight. What is the School of Medicine? How does it serve? Where is the School of Medicine going? How will the School of Medicine get there? The timing of this State of the School address could not be better in terms of this critical point that we have come to. The quality of healthcare is a primary driver of economic growth and quality of life and economic success in the state, and we are failing. Our rankings are abysmal. Our quality is highly variable. We have some outstanding medical care, some outstanding physicians, not enough of them in almost every specialty. Our capacity is poor. medical care leaves the state, Medicaid expansion is going to hit very hard. So we come to this point with great excitement and great anxiety. I would like to lay out a very detailed plan for you, be reassuring, comforting, put a little Band-Aid on that boo-boo. Describe a seamless transition. That's not going to happen. Everything that I'm talking about tonight is contingent on a number of major decisions by the Board of Regents, by the governor, and by the legislature. And it will be next May before we'll understand the full impact of all of that. But what I can tell you, and what I want you to walk away with, is to understand that one way or another, over some period of time, with appropriate decisions and support along the way, we're going to embark on some very major changes in direction. There are huge needs and huge opportunities across the state, and this school is going to look drastically different 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 8 years from now. And I think that is absolutely guaranteed. It's not going to be an issue of lack of choices, it's going to be an issue of a lot of choices. Some of those choices are going to be difficult. Exactly how that transformation takes place is unknown. Too many uncertainties that we have now, not to mention the unexpected opportunities and the unexpected barriers that pop up in the future. I think we've been preparing for this for the past 3 years, and a lot of events have come together to this point. It causes people to be very fearful of change. I would suggest that we should be fearful of not changing as well. That the current situation is not sustainable, not tenable, not productive. One of my biggest fears, just as an aside, is that the legislature will not be able to support the plans that have gone forward, the budget enhancements that the chancellor has put forward. And we will be told that it's a great idea, but not this biennium, and we will just sit for the next 2 years. I think that would be extraordinarily difficult to manage, because I think we've set the stage for doing what we need to do to serve the state, and it's time to do that. But whatever happens will inevitably cause significant stress. I think the stress has to be balanced with our service and why we are here. So, what is the School of Medicine? How does it serve? We tend to look a lot at campuses, at facilities, at affiliation agreements, at various concrete, various tangible kinds of products. That's not really what the School of Medicine is. Those do not achieve our mission. People achieve our mission. It's not about what we are or where we are, it's who we are and how we serve. So it's all about people. I want to refer you to facts and figures and the State of the School highlights. I would commend that to your time reading sometime. But I want to pick out some highlights of the highlights. So take a look at this for a moment. Total number of employees and faculty members, including our adjunct faculty members, 1,746. That is the School of Medicine, 1,746. An additional 747 trainees, so 28 fellows, 334 residents, 282 medical students, 29 PhD students, and 47 grad students, 27 postdocs. So another 747 trainees, plus the 1,746 employees. Supported by a budget, on the other side of the page, if you will, of $177.1 million, of which 36 comes from the state, roughly 20%. Another 20% comes from hospital affiliations, a little less than 40% from the practice plan, from clinical revenues. You can see research and philanthropy is there as well. But look at other things. Look to the left from that pie chart. Continuing medical education, 75 CME events with 7,500 healthcare professionals benefiting from our service. 344,000 patient visits took place in this school. We interviewed 247 medical school applicants out of 1,200 who applied. We accepted 89 and we got 70. Very high yield for the medical school. Very high demand for Nevada students to come here. And the net result of that, historically, 1,883 physician alumni, 219 PhD alumni, a number of other speech pathology and medical tech alumni, for a total of 3,047 total alumni from the School of Medicine over the years. Those are very impressive numbers. But there's a smaller picture as well, and it has to do with all the many accomplishments that people have made over the current year. So take a look at this for a bit. Let me just highlight a few things on this sheet. Workshops to promote the health professions to Native American students. Workshops in the high schools to develop a pipeline of medical school applicants. I want to highlight in particular the Clinical and Translational Research Grant held by UNLV, but for whom the School of Medicine is a major partner, that's brought the largest NIH grant, I believe, in the state here to support clinical research. They are celebrating their 1-year anniversary today. Dr. Langer, the principal investigator, is in the audience, and have had an extraordinary run that demonstrates, I think, the ability for higher education in the state to collaborate around important activities. Dr. Kent Sanders, the chair of physiology and cell biology, has possibly the longest streak of continuous NIH funding in the country. He's probably one of the 2 or 3 top funded physiologists in the entire country by NIH, and just had another phase to one of his major grants funded for another 5 years. A major accomplishment in Las Vegas, thanks to the leadership of Dr. Zamboni, was the opening of the Patient Care Center in Henderson, which is off to a fabulous start. Huge word of mouth publicity and a positive response, and the patient numbers are growing dramatically. The electronic medical record is in the process of being launched. Depending on who you are, you may decide whether that's an accomplishment or something more infamous. It's extraordinarily stressful, it's extraordinarily critical. It absolutely had to be done. Is it easy? No. Is it painful? Yes. But it does get us into the modern era in terms of electronic support. We had a major event last fall honoring rural health champions around the state. Another electronic notable event was the launch of our websites, a new platform for the School of Medicine. The previous platform was so phenomenally old that it was beyond use, and I think the new platform is spectacular. Another collaboration with UNLV was our Health Disparities Symposium last fall. That's going to take place again this fall. And then on to some educational issues. A major agreement is being developed and will be brought to the Board of Regents with Mountain View Hospital to launch residency programs. Another major affiliation agreement also being developed will be also brought to the Board of Regents in December, and that will be with Renown Health in Reno. The Department of Surgery here received accreditation for its orthopedic surgery residency. Dr. Dobbs in the back here is taking the lead. That's a huge step forward to develop orthopedic surgery training in the state. We've had faculty members selected for very prestigious leadership fellowships. Dr. Tim Baker, Dr. Tom Hunt, selected as 2 of 13 people nationally for a medical education leadership development fellowship. And Dr. Vanny Dandaloo, in the back, just got back from one of her first sessions at ELAN, the Emerging Leaders in Academic Medicine, which is an even more prestigious AAMC fellowship. Very exciting. We recognized healthcare heroes last week, Dr. Baran, Dr. David O'Coin, Dr. Josh Barton, and then finally some notable philanthropic events with the Redfield Foundation in Reno, supporting the creation of a new and very exciting position in collaboration with Renown Health, in which the chair of the Department of Pediatrics will also be the pediatrician chief at Renown Health, and a foundation supporting that recruitment. And most recently, Dr. Mitch Hitchcock, a very prominent entrepreneur and scientist, has just supported the development of endowed chair in biochemistry, which is a huge addition to our activities. So that's what people do in the School of Medicine. I see extra effort all the time. I see commitment by all of you in serving our constituents. I'll note, by way of thanks, Edgar Nunez is responsible for these fabulous slides that you see, and thank him for the extra effort that went into doing that. But I see commitment to excellence. I see pride in the School of Medicine. I see mentorship, I see collaboration, I see partnerships. I'll just say at this point in the session that I am privileged to be part of this group, that it's an honor to be with you, and I congratulate all of you for your accomplishments. So, where's the School of Medicine going? Let's talk about Las Vegas first. The change in the proposal from this advisory group that has gone to the Board of Regents for endorsement is a source of much angst. I understand that there was attachment to the notion of a full campus, full four-year campus in Las Vegas, and now there is grieving over the fact that that is not going to take place and the uncertainty that comes from not knowing how that will develop with UNLV. I would suggest that the issue is not so much a quantitative issue, how many years, how big a campus, buildings, no buildings. I would suggest that the issue is a qualitative issue. How does, from this point forward, the School of Medicine selectively and in a targeted fashion serve Las Vegas in a way that serves the state? So I think that the numbers will change dramatically, for example, the number of students that we teach here, but the qualitative issue is the extraordinary importance of those little bits of teaching, the exposure that those students will have to Las Vegas, separate from the quantitative issue of whether there is or is not a campus here. I think there will be a significant reduction over the years in our teaching capacity, and that will inevitably shift in emphasis towards UNLV if the school develops as we hope. Our students have to have exposure to this urban underserved population. There are just some things here that make the overall curriculum that much stronger. Probably more on the elective side than on the clerkship side. It's absolutely critical that our students get exposure to the residencies here. If students do not get that exposure, they will not look at these residencies, and that will be a terrible loss as residency programs develop in Las Vegas. I mentioned the Clinical and Translational Research Grant. I think that the partnership with UNLV is critical. And I think we have to stay on the same page, on the same side of the fence, and figure out how to do this together. That will be a challenge, I understand that. The issue of developing GME in Las Vegas is not without controversy. I get that. I think that we're smart enough and mature enough that if we get together on this, we can figure this out. I would note that the issue with Mountain View in particular is that this is an HCA mandate, that they are being told directly to develop major GME programs, and they're going to do it with somebody. And I think it should be with us for the time being. What happens down the road, I think that has yet to be determined. But I think it's in everyone's best interest that those programs get launched. I know there's some discussion about, quote, competing residencies. I think UMC has an incredible importance to this community in terms of continuing to support GME. I understand that there are financial difficulties, but I think that Barbara and I are going to work very hard with Larry to sort out the best way for UMC to proceed on the assumption that it's going to naturally align with UNLV, and we need to support that as much as possible until it's time to make that switch. But I do think that multiple residencies are good. Every big city has multiple medical schools and multiple teaching hospitals and multiple competing residencies. I don't think there's a problem with that. And in fact, the residencies, to the extent that they're competing, are not competing because of medical school sponsorship. They're competing just because there are multiple teaching hospitals and multiple programs. I also want to focus on the issue of quality. Most of you, I assume, saw the editorial in the RJ a couple weeks ago about residency quality, and it spun off of a recent U.S. News and World Report ranking system, yet another U.S. News ranking system, ranking residency quality. And the RJ was surprised that Nevada didn't show up anywhere in the top list of programs. I was not surprised. We have great teachers. We have great clinical platforms, great opportunities for teaching. What we don't have is the investment that makes very good programs great. There are residency programs in the country that have distinguished visiting professors every single week who are brought from medical schools around the country to teach residents. We can do that once a year, maybe, if we can scrape up a few bucks here and there. This is all about investment. It's all about quality. It's all about what does the state want and what is it willing to do to get that to happen. And finally, a comment about the practice plan. I have had conversations with Dr. Zamboni. I think what we will be seeing is an increasing independence of the operations of the practice plan, even more so than has already been occurring up until now. And the reason for that, I think, is because this is going to become a very growth-oriented market, and I think we want that practice plan to grow as much as possible. Whether it eventually is related more to UNLV, I think that has to be determined down the road. But again, it's important that everybody grow to grow the entire enterprise during this transition. Let me talk a little bit about Reno. As I say every year, I think it's important for each campus to understand what's going on the other end of the state. So let me give you a little bit of an update there. As you know, there's going to be a major partnership with Renown Health, and we'll bring that affiliation agreement to the regions for approval. But there are other partners in Reno, St. Mary's. I think there'll be different partnerships at different levels with different hospitals. But what will happen is all of that partnership will come together to finally build the campus in Reno that is needed. Renown is going to be a major part of that academic platform. I already talked about the recruitment of the chair of pediatrics and the pediatrician in chief. That's incredibly exciting, coming together of two institutions around a common purpose. It's the kind of thing you see in sophisticated medical schools and academic medical centers. So that's very exciting. Neurology will do the same thing, I think, in terms of their Institute of Neurosciences and our Department of Neurology. And I think we'll collaborate around research administration, which is something that is so badly wanting in Reno for so many years, I think will finally come to pass. I think you'll see GME expansion with the pediatric program developing, neurology residency developing, a new family medicine program developing. But the key issue is developing the teaching capacity for medical students. We have to have more or less full teaching capacity in Reno. We still need little bits in Las Vegas, as I said, for curriculum and quality purposes, but we need full capacity. I think it's there. We've had a huge outpouring by community physicians, but that takes an enormous amount of work to recruit, train, monitor, evaluate, appoint, promote, credential community physicians. It's an incredibly demanding job, and we're going to have to put some significant money into that. I also want to highlight the basic science research programs. I think they get too little attention. This is indeed a research-intensive school. We do not play with the big boys in terms of total research funding, but in terms of funding per faculty FTE, we're ranked very high, up in the 40s somewhere. Huge accomplishment, especially in the current era of NIH. It's taken an enormous amount of investment by the school, but also by all of higher ed to build the facilities that we have. To keep those going is going to take continued investment. Research costs money. We have about a $25 million portfolio. It's generally believed that the investment required for an externally funded research portfolio is about 30%. So that means somewhere, somebody's putting in about $7 million to keep this thing going. A lot of that goes into the buildings, goes into the labs, goes into the facilities. We have some very important philanthropy from Phil and Jennifer Satry, from Mitch Hitchcock, who I mentioned, others who have done amazing things, and that's going to be a continued focus, I think, of activity. Along with that needs to come clinical research development. And that should take place here, should take place in Reno, should take place statewide. We have the Redfield support that I mentioned, other donors. I want to see a clinical research enterprise that begins to match the basic science enterprise. And finally, I'll mention briefly something I'm going to talk about much more tomorrow in Reno, and that is the issue of clinical integration with Renown. And just very briefly, I'll tell you that the practice plan in Reno is not sustainable. It's primary care only, it's small, and practice plans were never meant to be constructed only of primary care. The whole point of having a practice plan is to have the high margin remunerative specialties. That's what runs practice plans. And Reno does not have that. So we're going to look very hard at integration with Renown, where actually the practice plan does have value because of its primary care. Let me talk briefly about the rural campus. Dr. Klass's smiling face. The rural campus gets too little attention, and we have to constantly remind ourselves, I think, that this is part of our function. The rural training outreach is critical. The rural preceptorship that our students do, the Winnemucca residency that originates here and then sends residents to Winnemucca for their second and third years in family medicine. Internal medicine residents are now going to Elko for training, but Project ECHO, that Dr. Class directs is far and away the most important outreach. This has enormous potential. Again, if we could get some even modest funding to support this, the ability to support rural practitioners is huge. Something here. There we go. How will the School of Medicine get there? This is the first of the 3 principles that I mentioned last year. ATP, accountability, transparency, and partnership. Those are still operative. I know you thought I might forget them in the next SOSA, but I have not. We're going to stay with these for a little while. The accountability issue is complicated. I think we've made some progress in all 3 of these, but probably most in the partnership area. Issue with accountability is one of metrics. How does one measure accountability by any one constituent to any other party? We're still working on measuring clinical productivity and clinical accountability, not just RVUs, but quality as well. We're still working on educational RVUs and how to measure educational productivity. We have a lot of work to do in research-based productivity. And when I say this tomorrow night in Reno, the basic scientists are going to get real tweaky, because this is a huge issue in terms of funding per square foot of lab space, who has lab space, how much funding comes from that, and how to be accountable for the use of that space. There's accountability in the other direction, from faculty and staff to UNSAM. And pride in the institution, and professionalism and citizenship, and how faculty and staff members feel like they're part of something with UNSAM. UNSAM itself is accountable to faculty and staff members for what I hope is a faculty and staff-centered environment that promotes career development. But we also have external accountability, and we are in a phase now where that's going to become extremely important. The accountability of the School of Medicine to the state and to its external partners. How do we serve the state? How do we serve those external partners? What kind of partner are we in all of these affiliations that I have talked about? It gets back to an issue, to a considerable extent, of what do we need to be? Not what do we want to be, but what do we need to be? How do we serve? And how do we do what we're supposed to do to serve our partners? But those partners have accountability to the School of Medicine as well. Accountability for support, accountability for funding, accountability from the legislature, from the Board of Regents, from the governor. I think there's been too little of that, to be blunt. I think that there's been an expectation by the political system in general that the school is fine and it's just perking along and it should do what it does, but not a lot of a sense of how does the state really get behind this in all of its political arenas to actually support the school to become what it needs to be to serve the state. And I hope we see more of that. Transparency. Again, made some progress, not as much as I would like. We have much more work to do here. I still want to work harder on transparency of resources, and just dumping the charts on the table that show where state support goes, who gets state support, what faculty members, what departments, how does the precious state money that we get allocated for academic purposes. I want to have transparency of performance and a better sense of our evaluation process, which I think is good, but could be better. I want to have transparency of processes. So as an example, you recall the faculty forward survey that we did that generated a tremendous response from faculty members about their careers, their lives, what was satisfying, what was not in their career, morale, the sense of how their work was proceeding, and what they would like to see the school do. Well, 2 things came out of that. The first, I'll tell you right now, has to do with the physician faculty track development. I knew this was a problem when I came. I didn't realize how bad it was, that we have done a horrible job in defining this track. Who are these people? How are they appointed? What ranks? What titles? How are they promoted? How are they evaluated? What are their roles? How are their roles captured in terms of clinical productivity, educational productivity, and scholarship? It's a very poorly organized system right now, I would say. And I think we have a lot to do with educating NSHE and the larger world about physician faculty tracks and how critical they are to the schools. So that's going to be a major task for the coming year. And finally, partnership, accountability, transparency, partnership. There are 2 major forces that are going to affect these partnerships. The first is that we're going to be clearly defined as being part of Reno and part of UNR should these plans go forward as they have been proposed. I think that that inevitably means a sense of loss in Las Vegas, but I think it is inevitable. And that's the nature of the discussions that are taking place. That's the nature of the direction of these political discussions and this process. And I think in a sense, it's better to just say who we are and where we are and where we're based, and then figure out how to then selectively reach out to the rest of the state for other parts of our vision. It would be inappropriate to pretend anymore that we're going to have a full campus in Las Vegas, but it would also be inappropriate to say that we do not have a selective and targeted role here. And that's kind of a theme that I would like you to go away with, which is the issue of selectivity and precision and targeting our activities. Up to now, I would say the school has been kind of trying to be everything for everybody and kind of all across the state, not real precise, not real focused. I think that has to change. I think we're going to be much clearer about defined partnerships, defined resources, defined objectives, and exactly how we're supposed to serve in our various areas. So, external partnerships. Just listen to this rundown, not all of them, but sort of some major ones that we deal with right now. Renown Health, St. Mary's, Carson Tahoe and Carson, the Reno VA, the Community Health Alliance in Reno, hospitals in Elko and Winnemucca, UNLV is a major partner, University Medical Center, the Las Vegas VA, Mountain View, Sunrise, and the County Medical Societies. I mean, that's what it means to be a community-based school. This is not an integrated university hospital that just sits on a hill and just kind of deals with itself all the time. This is an incredible set of partnerships that reach out across the state. But there are also internal partnerships, and I want to focus on those in the coming year as well. Here are a few examples. Physician MA partnerships, very poorly developed, I would say, in our practice plan. We need to do much more work in how we develop healthcare teams. The partnership between medical student education and GME, kind of parallel processes, sometimes come together. We could do a better job of that. Basic science, clinical science partnerships. Partnerships between department administration and school administration, which we're working on now. Teacher-student partnerships. There's a huge issue that we're going to work on very hard in the coming years, and that is a positive learning environment and really attacking the issue of student mistreatment. We actually rank very low in that area, meaning good. Very low rates of mistreatment are reported by our students, but this is zero tolerance. I think that if there's a single episode in which a faculty member or a resident or a nurse has treated a medical student inappropriately, that needs to be addressed, and that will be one of our goals for the coming year. And another Faculty Forward project, our mentorship programs. One of the other things that came out of Faculty Forward was the lack of mentorship and the strong desire for mentorship. And I am not surprised. I think this is, strong mentoring, I think, is a manifestation of a mature, sophisticated, a very advanced medical school. We're not there yet. So it's not surprising to me that the lack of mentorship would be mentioned. But I think we can do something about this. So Jennifer Hagan is launching a project in which we're going to have some very precious funds put into some project-based mentorship. So we're going to have a call for proposals, we hope in November, roll this out in January, in which very specific projects around some educational development, clinical development, scholarship will require mentorship, and we want to organize a protege-mentor relationship, bring them together with a little bit of support, and try to generate some conversation around this. I think it's very exciting. So, if I were the president and this were the State of the Union, I would say the state of the school is strong, but with some uncertainties. So let me kind of wind down and finish up and talk about some of those. Let me talk a little bit about what is uncertain. First of all, let me talk about what I mean when I talk about uncertain. There's a difference between uncertainty and instability. And I think there is little instability. In fact, I think there's no instability. I think we have an extraordinarily exciting and very positive future. It's just unclear in what direction at the moment. But I think there are going to be incredible opportunities and incredible choices to make down the road, but that itself generates uncertainty. The biggest level of uncertainty right now is, what is the Board of Regents going to do? What is the governor going to do? What is the legislature going to do? All of that has yet to play out. So we can get ahead of ourselves if we're not careful by being anxious about things that we don't even know yet in terms of where this is headed in the legislative session. I also will just be blunt and say I think there can be great uncertainty generated by dissension within the public medical education system. I pledge to work very hard, and I believe Dr. Atkinson has as well, and we've come together, I think, very strongly around how to depoliticize this issue and make this an issue of what is good for the state, what is good for Northern Nevada, what is good for Southern Nevada, what is good for rural communities, and to do what's right academically and clinically and educationally. There's also uncertainty related to our more strategic focus. Every time we say yes to something, a commitment to something, a commitment to a partnership, a commitment to a particular objective, we also say no to something else. And that generates uncertainty. And people get anxious about that. And we have to accept that fact, that being more selective, being more strategic will have some consequences. What is more certain? I think our purpose is absolutely clear. That our service to the state is paramount, it's defining, it has to be emphasized over and over and over again. When we come to difficult decisions, the answer should be, what is the right thing to do for the state? I think our role is becoming more clear, our defined partnerships, our defined platforms, where we're based, how we're located, what our purview of action is. I think that's becoming more clear. I think our partnerships are becoming more clear, more targeted, more precise. I think our value is becoming more clear, and I think our values are becoming more clear. You could list many core values. This is kind of what I think about most of the time. Service to the state. How do we serve this state? How are we the medical school that the state needs, along with UNLV and other medical institutions, to improve the quality of health and healthcare in this state? Quality is a defining feature. I think that we have, to some extent, defined ourselves too much in terms of quantity, too much in terms of just doing as much as we can, everywhere we can, anywhere we can, for anybody we can. And I think it's time to think about quality and think about focus. And finally, the success of public medical education in general. I think that if we do this right, I think that we can actually become a model for how the state comes together around a set of objectives, a set of goals, some critical needs that the state has, and perhaps even become a model for how to solve some of those political divides. This is the University of Nevada School of Medicine. So this is a visual depiction of all the units, departments, offices, educational offices, research units, and all of the connections. Who connects to who? This is what we do. This is who we are. If you wonder why it's a little crazy around here sometimes, this is a pretty good reason why. But this is what is going to come together, who is going to come together to attack these challenges and to address these opportunities. So, remember the 5 words: improving Nevada's health and healthcare. I think this is the time, I think this is the people, I think this is the place where great things are going to happen. I look forward to working together with you to improve Nevada's health and healthcare. Thank you.